From the nation's capital, Monrovia, good evening and welcome to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes. News presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. I'm Newton Tokwa presenting stories we follow in this evening. The Supreme Court of Liberia orders Criminal Court A to halt all proceedings in Capitol Building arson case, cites writ of prohibition by legal team of former House Speaker Funati Kofa and others. Liberian National Police arrested a jail 26-year-old man in Nimba County for allegedly having sexual intercourse with chickens resulting to their deaths. Ghanaian authorities releases preliminary investigative report in the death of Austin Tinge, a Liberian mobbed to death on February 27 near Sankomono. Away from Liberia, the authorities in South Sudan have said at least 169 people, including senior officials, were killed on Sunday when a group of unidentified men launched an assault on an area in the north of the country. Three U.S. fighter jets have been downed over Kuwait in an apparent friendly fire incident while flying in support of U.S.-Israeli hostilities with Iran, U.S. Central Command says. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments and our package. We are taking a very short break. I'll be right back. Thanks for rejoining. At this juncture, we cross over to Kwame Brown with the news bulletin.
The Justice in Chamber of the Supreme Court has ordered Criminal Court A, Judge Roosevelt Willie, to halt proceedings in the capital arson case following a writ of prohibition filed by legal team of former Speaker J. Funatikova and 8 court petitioners. The legal team of former Speaker Funatikova and 8 court petitioners petitioned the High Court through the Justice in Chambers, Associate Justice U.C. Kappa, challenging Criminal Court A Judge Willie's decision to disband all 12 jury in the ongoing Capitol building arson case. The defense counsel urged that the resident judge of Criminal Court A improperly disbanded the jury, expanded to held the case something according to the petitioner's petition was irregular, disruptive, and prejudicial to their constitutional right to a fair and impartial trial. In the petition for the writ of prohibition, Kofa and the 8 court petitioner asked the High Court to prevent Judge Willie from taking further action in the matter. A 26-year-old man has been arrested by the Liberian National Police Encyclopedia. That's by the Liberian National Police Encyclopedia Detachment for allegedly raping 2 chickens at Pala Junction, leading to their deaths. The man is believed to be a resident of the Yegamba community in Encyclopedia City, Nimba County. Eyewitnesses' account indicate that the incident occurred on Sunday morning, March 1, 2026. An elder of the community, identified as Prince Koi, according to reports, alerted the authorities, a situation that sparked concerns among residents. The unnamed man is accused of sexually abusing the chickens and currently in the Encyclopedia Police custody undergoing investigation. Ghanaian authorities have announced full investigation into the circumstances that led to the death of 26-year-old Austin Tinge, a Liberian. Tinge, who was residing in Ghana, was mobbed to death on Friday, February 27 at Lashibi near Sakumono. The statement issued by the Ghanaian's regional Public Affairs Unit disclosed that preliminary investigation indicate that the deceased had gone to visit his brother at his apartment in the company of brother's girlfriend, but was attacked and assaulted by some residents and members of the public when the caretaker of the apartment raised an alarm that the deceased was a thief. According to the statement, the body has since been deposited at the Lashibi Funeral Home for preservation and autopsy. Three persons have been arrested in connection with the 26-year-old Liberian death, including Vincent Azika, but age 38, Francis Amunsu, 44, and Williams Anderson, 34. The Ghanaian authorities added that those arrested are currently in police custody, assisting their investigation, while the fourth suspect, Enoch Mensah, is at large. The government of Liberia earlier announced that it was going to engage with the government of Ghana to establish the actual cause of the death of the 26-year-old Liberian. Former President George Weah has encouraged graduates of the Deed Maswesa Kamaya that's Empowerment and Vocational Skills Training Center to strive in utilizing the skills in making progress in the society. He told the graduates success in life depends on the seriousness of the person's desire to make living by putting in practice from the little skills he or she obtained from the training. He also pledged 49 solar machines for the graduates of the Deed Maswesa Kamaya Women Empowerment and Vocational Skills Training Center in Pinsfield on Sunday. Remarking during the program, the political leader of the movement for economic empowerment, the Maswell Kamaya vowed to decentralize the training program in order to benefit people from other communities. At the same time, that's at the end of the program, 49 women were certificated for successfully completing the training at the D. Maswell Kamaya Women Empowerment and Vocational Skill Training Center in Painesville. The program, which was held at the headquarters of the Movement for Economic Empowerment, was graced by a large number of people, including members and sympathizers of the Congress for Democratic Change, relatives of the graduates, and motorcyclists. The political leader of the People's Liberation Party, Tapo Doras, underscores the urgent need for the intensified national efforts to combat drugs abuse in Liberia. He expressed concerns over the alarming rise in drugs-related challenges, describing the situation as a growing threat to communities across the country. Speaking over the weekend during a charity fundraising event organized by One Mind Liberia, the that's PLP political leader emphasized that addressing drugs abuse is not solely the responsibility of government, but requires a collective and coordinated effort from all sectors of society. He noted that the increasing prevalence of substance abuse continues to undermine social stability and youth development. The PLP political leader stressed the importance of active participation from females, that's families, community-based organizations, and individual citizens, noting that sustainable progress can only be achieved through shared responsibility and community engagement. According to him, that strategic investment in prevention and rehabilitation programs is essential to safeguarding the future of young people and promoting national well-being. Bond County Senator Prince Moy has thrown political jabs at his critics, questioning their development record in Bond County when they previously served in positions similar to his at the national legislature. Speaking Sunday during the dedication of the Winsu Mountain Waiting Home in Jopolo Clan, Jokwale District, Senator Moy said Some of those criticizing him once served in the House of Representatives and served on key committees but did nothing tangible. Meanwhile, Senator Moore announced that 50,000 United States dollars would be appropriated in the national budget through the last district development fund to support ongoing development in the area. It disclosed that $25,000 would go toward the full renovations of the Wensu Clinic, while another $25,000 will support the construction of a community guest house as part of effort to strengthening healthcare and infrastructure in that part of Bong County. The government of France, through its embassy near Monrovia, has committed 8 million United States dollars to Liberian health setup. Speaking during the official launch of the Leadership, Management, Governance, and Decentralization Framework, France Ambassador to Liberia, Isabelle Legale, reaffirming her government's long-term commitment to strengthening governance, leadership, and human capital development in the nation's health system. Ambassador Legale described the launch as a major achievement in deepening partnership between the two countries. According to the France envoy, the LMGD framework aligns with France's global health strategy, which prioritizes strengthening national health systems and advancing universal health coverage. Ambassador Legale underscores the LMGD framework as a Liberia-led initiative developed by the Ministries of Health in collaboration with the Ministries of Internal Affairs, with technical and financial backings from France partners, including Expertise France and Agents France's Development. Justice experts have become urging members of the national legislature to explicitly criminalize the forced marriage as a debate for the establishment of Liberia's long-awaited War and Economic Crimes Court intensified. The worm that failure to criminalize forced marriage risks sidelining one of the Civil War's most pervasive abuses. One of those making the call is Elise Kepler, executive director of the US-based Global Justice Center, who covered Liberia for more than 2 decades with Human Rights Watch. According to him, it is incredibly important that forced marriage be named among prosecutable offenses as the legislature considered 6 competing bills to create the court. The Liberian National Bar Association and a coalition of civil society groups led by the Independent National Commission on Human Rights lists forced marriage under crimes against humanity. In another development, infrastructure setup expert Antonin Cole is calling on the national legislature to revisit the approved national budget to allot funding for the maintenance of the yellow machines. Cole expressed need for the national coordinating team and others employed to be paid to properly maintain the machines to serve for the Liberian people with longevity. He made comments during media engagement in Painesville. Could also encourage President Poakai to allow the machines to be used in assisting to clear communal farms. The Youth Congress for the Alternative National Congress has strongly criticized the Liberian government for recent mass demolitions of homes in and outside Monrovia. ANC Youth Congress Secretary General Obadiah Soniga said it is unthinkable for the government that campaign on rescue would in turn inflict mass homelessness and suffering on the ordinary people. Obadiah claimed that importation of the yellow machine is not the solution to the bread and butter issues among the ordinary people in the country. According to him, the government has now resolved to turn the officers of the Liberian National Police into an instrument of oppression whenever the people want to demonstrate to demand their rights. Obadiah claimed that funds allocated in the approved national budget has placed to benefit the elites in the government, while medicines in hospitals have run low, support for education has dropped considerable, and funding for agriculture is below the prescribed percentage by national partners. The Dimbatu Secretary General of the Liberal Labour Congress has officially written President Joseph Boakai calling for the construction of schools in illicit mining and agricultural sites in rural parts of the country. Speaking shortly upon his return from an international conference on child labor held in Rabat, Morocco, John Nat disclosed that the Liberian Labour delegation has been given the mandate to work with the Liberian government in also establishing feeding centers in the mining and agricultural sites to encourage children to go to schools. According to Nat, the International Labour Organization has given governments around the world up to 2030 to ensure all forms of child labor are eliminated so as to stop the abuse of rights of children. The supervisor of adult labor at the National Library of Liberia is urging the Ministries of Education to reintroduce civil education in the Liberian school system. Franklin Bobo believes it is essential for shaping a well informed generation and equipping young Liberians for a brighter future. Speaking at the observance of Black History Month in Monrovia, Bobo also called on the national government for more budgetary allocations for the national budget that's library to enable students to do more research in order to become informed decision makers and to aid their academic growth. Meanwhile, the supervisor at the Wikia Foundation's library in Monrovia, G. Now Russell, at the program described the Black History Month celebration as rewarding to young people of the country. And Ikumun Miracle women organizations of the Liberian Council of Churches will this Friday join the rest of global community in the observance of the International Day of Prayer in Monrovia. The president of the EWO, Mother Nas Alfreda Parker, disclosed that former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Mandela Cooper, the presidential political advisor, and First Lady Katumun Boakai are expected to grace the occasion. Speaking in an interview with the station, Mother Parker explained that during the program, special prayer would be offered for the government, peace, and the Liberian people. According to Mother Parker, the program will bring together leadership of women organizations from various churches in the Liberia and female-based non-governmental organizations operating in Liberia.
Kwame Brown with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature here on King's Newsburn. Well, if you just joined us, a reminder you're listening to King's Newsburn, 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest afterward. Today is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. I'm Newton to representing stories we follow in this evening. Supreme Court of Liberia orders Criminal Court A to halt all proceedings in Capitol Building arson case, cites writ of prohibition by the legal team of former Hospital Councillor Funati Kofa and others. Liberia National Police arrest and jail 26-year-old man in Nimba County for allegedly having sexual intercourse with chickens resulting to their deaths. Ghanaian authorities releases preliminary investigative report in the death of Austin TJ, a Liberian mocked to death on February 27-year Sakumono. Away from Liberia, the authorities in South Sudan have said at least 169 people, including senior officials, were killed on Sunday when a group of unidentified men launched an assault on an area in the north of the country. Three U.S. fighter jets have been downed over Kuwait in an apparent friendly fire incident while flying in support of the U.S.-Israeli hostilities with Iran, U.S. Central Command says. These are stories we follow me here this evening on King's Newsroom. We are taking a very short break to be back with voices of the news makers. Thanks for rejoining. On this development now, former President George Weah has encouraged graduates of the D. Maxwell South Kimiat Women Empowerment and Vocational Skills Training Center to strive in utilizing the skills in making progress in the society. He told the graduate, success in life depends on the seriousness of the person's desire to make living by putting in practice from the little skills he or she obtained from the training.
The speaker encourage you to continue your path because in life you never know. I am glad because I am a testimony of what it takes to be a successful person in life. And I want you to be that person where society believe that you will never become what you want to be. But because you are resilient, you persistent, you continue to move forward, to grow, that will make you a successful person. And what I'm saying is, today I'm here, you just graduated from a trade school. A lot of people believe that when you in this institution, the fact that you have now gone to a certain level, then society will raise you up. No, don't never believe that. Because if you believe that, then I'll ask you one question. Why are people that are running taxi on their own? They are successful more than people that are in offices. You got people that are ministers, but you got a taxi driver that is successful. The only reason that taxi driver is successful because he believes that what he's doing, that's his life, and he can multiply. So it's not just going to school to sit down in class, but this is also school for you. I used to work as a senator, and I was on the leader of the team to the ECOWAS Parliament. While we are at the ECOWAS Parliament, I saw a young guy. They keep coming to me, I'm a tailor. I said, what you can sew? He bring a little shirt. Anime propo when I brought it to Liberia. He said a little shirt, and I said, what's it? He said, this is what I can do. So I put it on. I said, but this can be another revolution. Even though we wear some of these things in our country, but we have to make this a revolution. So I'm going to take this, I'll buy it from you, and I will make sure that all my colleagues in my country, whether you like it or not, you wear the African clothes. So Dave is one of the most successful tailors in Nigeria today.
Former Liberian President George Weah, the political leader of the People's Liberation Party, Tapodo, has underscored the urgent need for intensified national efforts to combat drug abuse in the country and expressed concern over the alarming rise in drug-related challenges, describing the situation as a growing threat to communities across the country. Speaking over the weekend during a charity fundraising event organized by One Mind Liberia, the PLP political leader emphasized that addressing drug abuse is not solely the responsibility of government, but requires a collective and coordinated effort from all sectors of society.
You are to step in tomorrow. You are to make a difference tomorrow. And there are spoke about children on drugs. That's a serious problem. is infiltrating our country today. A lot of young people, decent young people, they have been addicted to drugs. And it's sad. It makes me feel so bad because I, for one, I got a lot of children. Yes, they have the opportunity in Liberia or wherever they are. You know, I would like to see that initiative that you guys are taking to solve this problem. You know, I've been a former lecturer in this country, okay, and I know what it is like. I know what it is like to act laws, to protect young people. We are pressing cellular so that we can identify with you all. Make sure we can tell you that, look, there's a journey where you all have made it this far. And I expect that God will do it to again. But at the end of the day, we'll leave the stage. Once someone is sitting after us, when you got kids around us, that will think that we kept them to step into leadership in one. There's a vacuum there. There's a vacuum there. We have scholarship programs, we have students, we have other stuff.
He is the political leader of the People's Liberation Party, TAPO, though they're speaking. Broom County Senator Prince Moi has thrown political jabs at his critics, questioning their development record in Broom County when they previously served in position similar to his at the national legislature. Speaking Sunday during the dedication of the Wishu Maternal Waiting Home in Jopolo Clan, Jokole District, Senator Moi said some of those criticizing him once served in the House of Representatives and served on key committees but did not do anything tangible.
Some of the people are criticizing what we're doing now. They were in the house before, and they were on public accounts. You know, the budget is passed at the level of the house by two committees, Ways and Means and Public Accounts. Some of them, they led the Public Accounts Committee for years, but they can't show one thing that they put in the budget to come and benefit the accounting, and we'll be challenging them. What else you going to do? 2019, 2020, if you single-handedly handle the budget of the country, Jeremiah Broom was going for election, Thomas Farmer was going for election, as a deputy speaker was going for election. So we only had one person that was sitting handling the whole account of the country. What you can show that you brought in this county as your county. I mean, when you talk, nobody listen, huh? But when we sit there, we bring millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. We're going to list from the District Development Fund country to take $25,000 and renovate the whole place. Listen up. So your clinic will be fully renovated, everything. To the state, you cover all your money like 25,000 people. So will come back here, say you the one on the ground. Every mistake here, you use that 25,000 with the oversight of the CHO and all of you do. Hello. You know I'm not going through. Because when you and my mother when you and I see so another 25,000 will come from men to build the guest house. 25,000 will come from men to build the guest house.
His Broom County Senator Prince Moi speaking. The government of France, through its embassy near Monrovia, has committed $8 million United States dollars to Liberian health sector. Speaking during the official launch of the Leadership, Management, Governance and Decentralization Framework, France Ambassador to Liberia Isabel Ligolek reaffirmed the government's long-term commitment to strengthening governance, leadership and human capital development in the nation's health system. Ambassador Ligolek described the launch as a major achievement in deepening partnership between the two countries.
The leadership management and governance decentralization policy is a milestone in the partnership between France and Liberia, aligned with the French Global Health Strategy, which prioritizes strengthening health systems and achieving universal health coverage. Strengthening health governance reflects France's conviction that strong leadership and sound management are the foundations of a resilient and sovereign health system to reduce maternal and neonatal mortality and to effectively combat major pandemics. It is a Liberia-led framework developed by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Local Government in close collaboration with French partners, Expertise France and the French Agency for Development, to support and accompany the Ministry of Vision. The partnership between both ministries demonstrates in practice how decentralization can strengthen governance, clarify roles, and reinforce coordination at all levels. It is fully integrated into Liberia's national health policy and aligned with the Local Governance Act, ensuring coherence and institutional anchoring. It is also a comprehensive and operational toolkit, not just a document, but a structured package including the LMGD policy, the implementation strategy, the standard operating procedures, and operational guidelines that will endure beyond a single project cycle. These tools are already being used to train facilitators and frontline managers, ensuring decentralization becomes operational reality. LNGD interventions empower leaders at national, county. Investing in Liberian human capital is a priority. France supports training excellence built to last and a sustainable capacity building approach.
She's France ambassador to Liberia. Yes, speaking. What if you just joined us with the time 1/2 reminder? You're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories will follow in this evening. Supreme Court of Liberia orders Criminal Court A to halt all proceedings in Capitol Building arson case, cites rate of prohibition by legal team of former House Speaker, Councillor Funati Kofa, and others. Liberian National Police arresting jail 26-year-old man in Limba County for allegedly having sexual intercourse with chickens, resulting to their deaths. Ghanaian authorities releases preliminary investigative report in the death of Austin TJ, a Liberian mocked to death on February 27 year Sakumolo. Away from Liberia, the authorities in South Sudan have said at least 169 people, including senior officials, were killed on Sunday when a group of unidentified men launched an assault on an area in the north of the country. 3 U.S. fighter jets have been downed over Kuwait in an apparent friendly fire incident while flying in support of the U.S.-Israeli hostilities with Iran, U.S. Central Command says. These are stories we're following here this evening on King's Newsroom. We are taking another short break. When we come back, we continue with more voices on the program. Thanks for rejoining. Infrastructural sector expert Anthony Cole is calling on the national legislature to revisit the approved national budget to allot funding for the maintenance of the yellow machines. Cole expressed need for the national coordinating team and others employed to be paid to properly maintain the machines to serve for the Liberian people with longevity. He made the comments during the media engagement in Painesville.
The lawmaker's statutory duty is to enact law in the interest of the citizens of this country. So what I want to acknowledge there is the team that was set up as a maintenance team to keep an eye. Also, they are also serving as a custodian for government machinery. So they should be paid well because low salary can bring about corruption. So the maintenance team should be paid well so that the machine will be maintained and supervised at all times for construction purpose. Based on the maintenance aspect, they can work around it. The machine is there for multiple purposes. The machine is there for agricultural activities. The machine is there for road connectivity. So that machine, the president is a wise president, so he brought that machine for so many programs that will enhance development That's why he bought the machine. The machine is not stuck to one program. No, agriculture, road maintenance, everything. Once the machine was brought for development, we should take agricultural activity into consideration, and anything that will bring development to this nation, we should be taken into consideration. Honorable President Joseph Newman Boyka, I want to take this time to commend the government for the initiative undertaken by your administration to deploy yellow machinery in Liberia interior for construction of roads. This initiative will drive development, enhance better road connectivity. Mr. President, once again, I want to say thank you for being committed to national progress. That of saying, they say it is better in keeping with the old saying, when a man is alive, you give him his flower.
He's Anthony Cole, infrastructural sector expert. Justice experts have begun urging members of the national legislature to explicitly criminalize forced marriage as they paid for the establishment of the Liberia long-awaited War and Economic Crimes Code intensified. One of those making the calls is Elise Kepler, Executive Director of the USB Global Justice Center, who covered Liberia for more than 2 decades with Human Rights Watch. According to him, it is incredibly important that forced marriage be named among prosecutable offenses as the legislature considers 6 computing bills to create the code. The Liberian National Bar Association and the coalition of civil society groups led by the Independent National Commission on Human Rights list forced marriage honor crimes against humanity. Moreover, the Office of War and Economic Crimes Code of Liberia and the body overseeing the code's establishment has not been made public, and it is unclear whether the bill criminalizes the offense. The bill have been crafted for War and Economic Crimes Code, reflecting a energized campaign for accountability more than 2 decades after Liberia's civil war officially ended. According to Anthony Stephen, judicial correspondent of the New Narrative, there are new 6 bills before the national legislature calling for the forced marriage to be criminalized.
Liberia's civil wars between 1989 and 2003 claimed an estimated 250,000 lives and displaced millions. Today, 6 bills have been drafted for lawmakers here to consider setting up a long-delayed War and Economic Crimes Code and a National Anti-Corruption Code to prosecute offenses during that period. International justice experts are urging them to ensure that forced marriage be explicitly criminalized in the founding statute of the War Crimes Code. Elise Kepler of the Global Justice Center, who covered Liberia with Human Rights Watch, says that it is incredibly important for forced marriage to be declared a prosecutable offense. Her view is echoed by the registrar of the Residual Special Court for Sierra Leone, Binta Masare. Liberia's current domestic laws do not criminalize forced marriage, even though the practice was widespread during the wars. Experts warn that if forced marriage isn't clearly named as an abuse, it may be overlooked when the code begins to work. For victims and advocates, what the code statute includes will shape who gets justice and whether justice is truly complete.
Anthony Stevens of the New Narrative there ending that report. The Youth Congress of the Alternative National Congress has strongly criticized the Liberian government for recent mass demolition of homes in and outside Monrovia. ANC Youth Congress Secretary General Obadiah Soniga said it is unthinkable for the government that campaign on rescue will in turn inflict mass homelessness and sufferings on the ordinary people. Obadiah claimed that the importation of the yellow machines is not the solution to the bread and butter issues among ordinary people in the country.
This mission of the Indomitable National Youth Congress ANC is clear: to resist exploitation, to demand justice, and to build a nation where dignity is not a privilege but a right. We must rise not with despair but with determination. We must organize not with fear but with faith. We must speak not with whisper but with thunder, for the people of Liberia deserve more than yellow machine. They deserve justice, dignity, and decent life. Infrastructure is not about machines. It is about people. It is about light in homes, piping water, jobs, and money in the people's pockets. Without these, machines are nothing but monuments to failure. Garbage has overtaken Center Street Cemetery. The Monrovia City Corporation built walls to have filled, rather than remove it. Instead of solving these problems, the government hides behind walls. But garbage cannot be hidden. It stinks. It spreads. It affects. It is a metaphor for governance itself. Corruption conceals incompetence, discards failure marks. The budgetary expansion benefits political elites, while bread and butter, healthcare, education, sanitation, and agriculture remains underfunded as the government boasts of self-reliance, inadequately dealing with the gap between the rich and the poor. The Liberia Revenue Authority itself admits that bar concession deals passed by the legislature drain national resources. The Supreme Court confirmed that tenure laws are violated. Civil society organization like CETAL demands probes into police violence. Yet the government responds with silence or worse, with force. Liberians must ask, what use are yellow machine and grand projects if women are shot in eviction, if children gamble in the street, if garbage overtake our cemetery, and if graduates find no job to do? True rescue demands not rhetoric, but transformation. It demands that the government serve the people, not the elites. It demands accountability, justice, and the redistribution of resources toward health, education, agriculture, and welfare.
Obadiah Sonigat is the ANC Youth Congress Secretary General there speaking. The Imbato Secretary General of the Liberia Labour Congress has officially written President Joseph Boakai calling for the construction of schools in illicit mining and agricultural sites in rural parts of the country. Speaking shortly after his return from an international conference on child labor held in Rabat, Morocco, John Nat disclosed that a Liberian labor dedication has been given the mandate to work with the Liberian government in also establishing feeding centers in the mining and agricultural sites to encourage children to go to schools.
We attended the Elimination of Child Labor Conference in Marasca, Morocco, where the ILO invited us. We're instructed by our partners. They want to help, the donors want to help us. But the question is, what our government is doing to fight child labor. So we came back home and we wrote the government, to the office of His Excellency, President Joseph Boakai Sr. The workers are demanding schools to be built in the plantation, the agricultural farming, the artisan mining, where our children under the age of 5 to 15 years old are doing mining, are doing farming at the plantation, at the agricultural level, for the children to leave from there, because the children are being used by their parents to go there to get little support income from there so that they can feed their children. The children are not in school. They are taking drugs in. Some are taking drugs in. Some are just there. Nothing. We just did our survey. We went there. We took some photos. We got a lot of information on the children that they want to go to school. Nobody to help them. And that is why we are demanding this government to make schools within the plantation. Send the fire zone management cannot do it. Send the agricultural ministry cannot do it. Send the mining sector that the government cannot reach there. We are appealing the government to go there and build schools and train the teachers and let the children get to school and open a feeding program for the children to leave that place, because it's dangerous. And we've got a mandate from the ILO Child Labor Conference that from now to 2030, all government institutions are members of the ILO should fight to eliminate child labor.
He is the Imbato Secretary General of the Liberia Labour Congress. John Nat there speaking. And away from Liberia, authorities in South Sudan have said at least 169 people, including senior officials, were killed on Sunday when a group of unidentified men launched an assault on an area in the north of the country, describing the attack as carried out by dozens of armed youth. UN Administrative Area Information Minister James Mayuluk Majok alleged that they came from neighboring United States and were linked to the Sudan People Liberation Army and opposition. The splot has denied any involvement in the attack, accusing the United States authorities of politicizing the violence. The UN has repeatedly warned that the country is at risk of sliding back into full-scale civil war. Three U.S. fighter jets have been down over Kuwait in an apparent friendly fire incident while flying in support of the U.S.-Israeli hostilities in Iran, with Central U.S. Command saying the F-15 jet were mistakenly shot down by Kuwaiti Air Defense's official announced on Monday. All six crew ejected safely and have been recovered, they added. The cause of the incident is under investigation. There have been fresh attacks by both sides of the conflict on Monday, and Iran has denied Trump's suggestion that it is ready for fresh negotiations with the U.S. The death of the fourth U.S. serviceman was also announced by CENTCOM on Monday. On that notice, I would like to go home this evening on this edition of the program King's News, run the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home, let's remind you of stories we've been following. The Supreme Court of Liberia orders Criminal Court A to halt all proceedings in Capitol building arson case, cite writ of prohibition by the legal team of former House Speaker Councillor Funati Kofa and others. Liberian National Police arrest and jailed a 26-year-old man in Limba County for allegedly having sexual intercourse with chickens, resulting to their deaths. Ghanaian authorities releases preliminary investigative report in the death of Austin Chijet, a Liberian mobbed to death on February 27 near Sokomuno in Ghana. Away from Liberia, the authorities in South Sudan have said at least 169 people, including senior officials, were killed on Sunday when a group of unidentified men launched an assault on an area in the north of the country. 3 U.S. fighter jets have been downed by Kuwaiti army in an apparent friendly fire incident while flying in support of the U.S.-Israeli hostilities with Iran, U.S. Central Command says. These are stories closely followed here on King's News. Kwame Brown was here with the news bulletin. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package. Sources, Sam Andrews, SATA controls and coordinated the sounds. My name is Newton Tukpa. Thanks for listening and watching. Good evening.